Hey everybody, it's Maddy here. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can crochet this tiny little pumpkin. This is a very quick and easy fall or Halloween crochet project, and it's perfect for all your fall decor. So let's begin crocheting. To begin making our crochet pumpkin, we're going to start with a magic ring, and to do that you're going to take this tail end of your yarn and then you're going to wrap it around 2 fingers, and then you're going to make those 2 pieces of yarn cross over on top of your fingers here, and then you're going to take your crochet hook, put it underneath that first strand, and you're going to grab that second strand. You're going to pull that and twist your crochet hook up. And then you're going to grab this long strand here and you're going to pull that through your loop. And that is how you make a magic ring. You just go ahead and slide that off your fingers. I do have a more detailed tutorial in the description on how to make a magic ring, so if you're having a hard time making the magic ring, I suggest watching that tutorial. It's really helpful, especially if you don't know how to make a magic ring very well. Okay, and then from here we're going to do 6 single crochets in our magic ring. And to do a single crochet, we're going to take our hook, we're going to insert it through our magic ring, we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, so then you should have 2 loops in your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through both loops. And that right there is going to be your single crochet. Let's go ahead and make another single crochet. So we're going to insert a hook through our magic ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops. And there is our second single crochet. Let's go ahead and make 4 more single crochets. So enter your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. So there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we have our 6 single crochets. We can go ahead and tighten up our magic ring now, and to do that you're just going to take that tail end of the yarn, and when you pull on that it will tighten up that magic ring. You should have something that looks like this. And before we begin on row 2, we're going to add a stitch marker because these rounds are going to be worked continuously. So for my stitch marker, I'm just going to use a piece of some different colored yarn. You can buy actual stitch markers and use those if you want, but I've always used just a different colored piece of yarn, and that works well for me. And I'll show you how to place it before we begin our next round. Here we have our tail. I just like to move that out of the way. And then here we have that long strand, and we just want to make sure that that's out of the way as well. And then you're going to take your stitch marker and you're going to place it right next to the last stitch that we made. As you can see here, I folded it and it's out of the way and it's sitting right next to that last stitch that we made, just like that. And that's how you're going to place your stitch marker each time. So for row 2, we're going to be doing increases in each of the stitches all the way around. And an increase is where we do 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So starting in this first stitch, we're going to do a single crochet in there. So enter your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops. And then after that first single crochet, we're going to do another single crochet in that same stitch. So just go ahead and do another single crochet in the same stitch, and that is going to be an increase. In the next stitch, we'll also do another increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So let's go ahead and do our first single crochet, and then we'll go ahead and do our second single crochet in that same stitch. And then you're just going to repeat that till we make it back to the stitch marker. And you're going to stop right before you make it to the stitch marker. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 2. And as you can see, I stopped right before we made it to the next stitch, which has the stitch marker in. And that's how we know that we've made it to the end of the round. At this point, you should have a stitch count of 12. And now you can go ahead and remove your stitch marker. And then we can go ahead and place it at the beginning of our next round, the same way that we placed the stitch marker in the previous round, just having it nicely folded right next to the last stitch that we made. For round 3, we're going to be doing an increase and then a single crochet, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around. So let me show you what I mean. In this first stitch, we're going to do an increase, which is the 2 single crochets. So there's our first single crochet and our second, and then in this next stitch we're only going to be putting 1 single crochet in that stitch. So we have our increase and then we're going to do 1 single crochet, just like that. So here we have 2 single crochets and 1 single crochet. In the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochets again, which is an increase, 1 and and 2. In the next stitch, we're only going to be putting 1 single crochet in that stitch. And then in the next stitch, we're going to be doing an increase, which is the 2 single crochets. And then we're just going to repeat that till we make it to the end of this round, doing an increase and then a single crochet, and then an increase and then a single crochet. So since I just did an increase, the next stitch will be just 1 single crochet. I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then we can begin round 4. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 3, and as you can see, I stopped just before that stitch marker. So now we can go ahead and remove our stitch marker and place that at the beginning of our next round. Also at this point, your stitch count should be 18. Now for round 4, we're going to be doing an increase and then a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to repeat that pattern until we make it to the end of the round. So starting in this first stitch, we're going to do an increase. 1 and 2. And then in this next stitch, we're going to do 1 single crochet. And then also in the next stitch, we'll do 1 single crochet. Next, we're going to go ahead and do an increase. 1 and 2. And then the next 2 stitches, we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of those. 1 single crochet, next stitch, 1 single crochet. And then you're just going to repeat that till you make it to the end of the round, and then we can begin on round 5. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 4. We can go ahead and remove our stitch marker and place it at the beginning of our next round. And at this point, you should have a stitch count of 24. Now from row 5 to row 7, so the next 3 rounds, we're just going to be doing 1 single crochet in each of the stitches all the way around. These rows will be pretty simple, just 1 single crochet in each of the stitches. 1 single crochet, next stitch, 1 single crochet, next stitch, 1 single crochet, just like that. And then you're just going to repeat that. I'm going to go ahead and finish up this row, and then we can begin on row 6. Okay, I just finished with round 5, and as you can see, it's starting to curve up a little bit, which is exactly what you want. And now from here, you can go ahead and remove your stitch marker and place it at the beginning of our next round. And like I said earlier, row 6 and row 7 is going to be the same thing as row 5, where we're just doing 1 single crochet in each of these stitches all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and do both of those rounds, doing 1 single crochet in each of the stitches. And once I finish up with row 7, I'll meet back up with you and we can start on row 8. Okay, I just finished with row 7. As you can see, we kind of have like a little pumpkin, almost. And now from here, you can go ahead and remove your stitch marker and place it at the beginning of our next round. For row 8, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets in the first 2 stitches, and then we'll be doing a decrease, and I'll show you how to do that when we get there. So in this first stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, and then in the second stitch we're going to do another single crochet, and then we're going to do a decrease. And to do a decrease, we're going to be taking 2 stitches and doing 1 single crochet in the 2 stitches. So to do that, you're going to insert your hook through the first loop of the first stitch and then the back loop of the second stitch, like this. And then you're going to put your single crochet in there, just like that. I'll show you again how to do a decrease when we come up to another decrease, but that's the pattern we're going to be repeating all the way around. So this first stitch, single crochet, in the second stitch, single crochet, and then a decrease again. So insert your hook through the first loop of the first stitch, in the back loop of the second stitch, and then do your single crochet in there. And then you're just going to repeat that till you make it to the end of the round. I'm going to go ahead and finish this round, and I'll meet back up and we can begin on row 9. Okay, I just finished with row 8, and from here we can go ahead and remove our stitch marker and place that at the beginning of our next round. At this point, your stitch count should be 18. And now for row 9, what we're going to do is we're going to do a single crochet and then a decrease. Single crochet and a decrease. So in this first stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to do a decrease. Just like that. And that's what we're going to be doing all the way around. So after that decrease, we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to do another decrease. And then you're going to go ahead and repeat that so you make it to the end of row 9. Okay, I've made it to the end of row 9, and now you can go ahead and remove your stitch marker, and we can begin stuffing our pumpkin. You can use whatever kind of stuffing you have. I'm just using an old pillow that I tore apart, and that works fine. You can go ahead and stuff it as much as you want. Okay, once you're happy with that, we can go ahead and put our hook back on our project and replace our stitch marker. For row 10, we're just going to be doing decreases all the way around, and this will be our final round for our pumpkin, and then from there we're going to fasten it off, and I'll show you how to form this ball into a pumpkin shape. This round can be a little bit tricky just because the stitches become very close together as you come around this, but just slowly make your way doing decreases all the way around. Okay, and there's our final decrease. Okay, from here you can go ahead and remove your stitch marker because that's just in our way. Okay, so from here we can go ahead and cut our yarn, but I do like to leave quite a bit of yarn just so we have a little bit extra to work with. Okay, just went ahead and cut that, and then we're going to pull our yarn through like this, and then go ahead and make sure that's nice and tight. Now, getting out our sewing needle, go ahead and thread your yarn through, and we can go ahead and sew up this last little area. And the way I like to do that is by going into the first loop of that next stitch and just pulling that through, and then putting it down into that first loop of the next stitch, and then up through that second stitch, and then down and up. So you make it around, and then you can go ahead and pull on that string and it will tighten up the rest of that hole. From here, go ahead and put your needle all the way through so it comes up the center of the other side of your ball, and then pull that tight so then you have like the little shape of the pumpkin. And then I'm going to put the needle back through a different area on the pumpkin, but like close to the center. About right there is good. And then push that through the center to the bottom again, and then pull that nice and tight till you like the shape of the pumpkin. You can do this as tight as you want or as loose as you want. It really just depends on how curved you want the shape of the pumpkin to be. And then from here, I'm going to stick the needle back through to the other side of the pumpkin, and then my needle will come up the top of the pumpkin again, and then I'm going to stick it back through one last time. And I'm happy with the shape of the pumpkin, so I'm going to go ahead and weave this through a couple of those stitches to make sure that it's nice and tight in there, because we don't want this string coming loose or anything, and trim the yarn. So now we have a little pumpkin. All we need to do now is add the stem. I have some brown yarn here, and to make the stem, we're going to start off by making a slip knot, and to do that, you're going to make a loop with your yarn, and then you're going to stick your fingers through the loop, and then grab the long strand, so then it makes a slip knot when you pull that tight. Go ahead and put that on your hook and tighten it up, and then we're going to go ahead and chain 5. So we're going to yarn over and pull that through our loop. So there's 1 chain, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then in these chains we're going to be putting 1 single crochet in each of the chains down, so we should have a total of 4 single crochets because we're going to be skipping this first chain from the hook. So going in, not this chain but this chain, we're going to do a single crochet, and then in the next chain we'll do another single crochet, and you're just going to do the single crochets down till you make it to the end of that last chain, and you should have 4 single crochets in this little row that we have. We're going to go ahead and chain 1, and then go ahead and cut your yarn. And I'm also leaving a little bit of a tail so we can sew this onto the pumpkin. Go ahead and pull your hook through and tighten that. I'm going to go ahead and weave my yarn through my needle, and now we can begin sewing this onto the top of our pumpkin. I don't really have a strategy when it comes to sewing things on, but I just stick my needle through a couple of the strands of the middle of the pumpkin, pull that nice and tight, and then I stick my hook through the stem, and then back through a couple of strands on the pumpkin. I'm going to go ahead and do that a couple times just so I make sure that that's nice and secure. And now if you like the way the stem looks now, you can go ahead and just like sew in the rest of these strands and leave the pumpkin as it is. But as you can see on this pumpkin, the stem is shorter. So if you want to kind of shrink this up, I'll show you how you can go ahead and do that. So here we have the stem. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put it through the stem like this. And then I'm just going to pull that yarn through. So then it'll come out the top of that stem. And then I'm going to stick the needle across like this and pull the yarn through. And then I'm going to stick it down the other side of that stem and pull that through. Now when you pull on this string, it should tighten up the stem. I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of like wrinkles it on there like this. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stick my needle through the pumpkin to make it back to the other side. I went ahead and just like weave these through so they're nice and tight. And I'm just gonna go ahead and trim the rest of that off. And now we have our tiny little pumpkin. This is so cute. I love it. Our little pumpkins. And there you have it. That's how you make your tiny little fall pumpkin. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, make sure to give this video a like. And if you have any questions, don't forget to leave them down below in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!